Early morning update for a Tuesday. Good morning, Paul Lindman and Scott Lynn. KEX News Time is 6:39. So what will our planet look like in 2050? Interesting project from the weekly magazine The Economist. They brought together a couple of dozen contributors, current and former journalists, experts in various categories, asked them to look at global trends and decide where we'll be in 2050, and it's resulted in a book, 2050 Mega Change. Joining us this morning, Daniel Franklin, executive editor at The Economist. So much material in here about what might be going on then, Daniel. What's most striking to you in terms of what your journalists found?
Well, I think two things. First of all, the demography, the population trends are quite extraordinary. And the fact, for example, that so much of the population growth over the coming decades is going to be in Africa is very mind-concentrating. And the more you look into the details of the population trends, the more fascinating it is. And then, inevitably, some of the technological and scientific ones are fascinating. The idea of discovering new planets or resurrecting old species.
I thought you would have mentioned by now, and I know people are talking to you about this, Tim Cross, the science correspondent in The Economist, putting forth the fact that we might discover alien life in the years.
Alien life is absolutely... and actually, he thinks it's pretty likely. So the numbers of probes out there looking for some sort of alien life are such that he thinks it's quite likely that we will actually discover it. But it'll probably, when it happens, disappoint. It won't take the form of the sort of creatures that we've seen in sci-fi movies.
It'll be like microbes and bugs, or what?
Unfortunately, yes. Not walking, talking aliens as in E.T., you know?
The global economy. Obviously, the world has its problems right now, but where will we be in 2050?
Well, I think if we're lucky, the world will be a lot richer. We will have seen a lot more growth by then, and a lot of countries and a lot of people will have been lifted out of poverty. But there will be a great tilting of the balance of economic power, particularly towards Asia. So by 2050, more than half of the world's economic output will be in Asia. And the curious thing is that that's really is a case of back to the future, because that was the way the world was for much of human history. It was only really with the Industrial Revolution that first Western Europe and then America came to have such a large share of global economic output.
Daniel, what does your contributor say about how our lives will change when there's a computer chip in virtually everything?
Well, it could be that there'll be computer chips in us as well, but the era of big data is clearly going to bring enormous changes, and the ability to crunch vast quantities of data that will be increasingly smart chips in all sorts of devices and in all sorts of areas of life, and that I think will make certain things much more efficient. So anything from the ability to have much smarter systems management, traffic management, that kind of thing, to also being able to make sense of the vast quantity of data that we produce to divine much more of our intentions. So in fact, I mean, we're not just predicting what might happen in 2050, but we're predicting that there'll be an increase in the prediction of what we are doing, what we're intending to do.
Do any of your contributors have any ideas on whether the Kardashians will still be bothering us in America?
Well, I think, by 2050 they may not be bothering that much. So that might be one thing that we can look forward to.
And dare we mention climate change and all the controversy? I mean, it's ongoing. Will it still be going on then?
Yes, and in fact, what the chapter on climate change says is that actually, whatever you think, what we do now will not actually make much difference to what the climate is like in 2050, because much of that is already pretty much, these things change very slowly, so that will be more or less already decided. But the trajectory between now and then could be hugely affected by our actions, and it will perhaps be the case. The argument here is that a sort of more risk management approach to climate change may make sense and may bring about a sort of different approach to how we look at it.
Well, we have a golf club that hits a ball straight.
Not if it's wielded by me, that's for sure.
Daniel Franklin, he's executive editor and business affairs editor of The Economist, talking about a book he helped edit. It's fascinating, 2050 Mega Change, The World in 2050. Daniel, thanks so much and take care.